Well, welcome back. You're still watching First Trades as well as the market right here on ET Now. We're preparing for the big policy event, the RBI Credit Policy Review, slated for 2:30 this afternoon. Let me go across to my colleague Poonam, who joins us with the ET Now policy poll, having spoken to a lot of economists and bankers to understand what the broad expectation is on Main Street. Poonam?
Well, absolutely. With the Q2 GDP coming in much lower than expectations, RBI policy is important, and in fact, majority of the experts do expect a status quo coming in the RBI policy. None of the experts expect a cut in the rates, at least as of now. In fact, if you look at the stance, majority again expect a change. RBI rather to maintain a calibrated tightening stance. Only 33% expect a change in stance to neutral, and that is only on account of the fact that we have seen sharply low crude oil prices as well as possibility of a slower growth. In fact, the FY19 expectations also, majority do expect only a status quo at nearly around 83% are expecting over FY19, and only 17% do expect a hike. So the probability of a rate hike further into FY19 has definitely reduced. Even if you look at in terms of the CRR, it's only one economist who possibly just expects a 50% probability of RBI going ahead and cutting CRR by 50 bps, but rest of them do expect a status quo. In fact, in terms of the expectations, in terms of the inflation as well as in terms of the GDP front, well, inflation forecast may be changed slightly lower. 50% expect that. In terms of the GDP also, very few of them expect RBI in fact to go ahead and change the GDP forecast, but I guess with the Q2 GDP coming slightly slower than expected, we possibly may see slight amount of tweaking in terms of the FY19 forecast. Now, the rationale for a rate for status quo is the fact that of course we have seen sharply lower crude oil prices, which have crashed nearly around 30%. The risk of imported inflation also is sharply lower, with INR in fact gaining nearly around 5% or over 5% in the month of November itself. Lower oil would also mean lower stress on CAD, fisc, inflation as well as growth. And not just that, we're also seeing that overall the GDP growth does require some amount of support coming in from RBI as well as from the government, and the rural demand also needs some support there, and hence probably a status quo this time. But of course, watch out for the commentary on RBI, be it in terms of the liquidity measures on NBFC, the OMOs, and of course the overall outlook or the view rather in terms of the global growth and any further norms or relaxation in the PCA. But so far, a status quo possibly in the RBI policy.